It is 12:15, so you know what that means. It's time for Curtis Collings presents the Sports Hour, and yeah, a little bit of a different look today. Something I'm really proud to be presenting to you guys. We're experimenting because why not? I think this looks way better. We got a new backdrop. We got a new screen in front of us. I decided to simplify it. We just got all the sports on the screen at once. Our main sport's going to be back there today. Of course, we're talking about the Blue Jays. We're talking about that game from last night. But not only that, we're also going to be talking about AEW. And I felt like doing a tribute to the AEW colors over here. You know, trying to get that gold. I didn't quite go with the black. I felt like that would have been maybe a little too much. But, all the same. And, it's updated. It's new and improved. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun today. And welcome to Curtis Collings Presents The Sports Hour. Please go ahead and chat as much as you want, chat as much as you can. I'll be responding to pretty much every single chat message, if we're being honest with each other, because why not? That's what we're here for. We're here to have fun and here to talk about sports. Today, I'm excited. I think today is going to be a huge upgrade and a huge step forward. So here we are. Shout out to Austin Collings, first chatter of the day, saying new overlay, and always a big fan of the sport. So thank you very much. And how about we just hop right into it with our Toronto Blue Jays. So let's go. Blue Jays versus Twins. Would you look at that on the side of the screen? It does the thing. All right, I'm gonna downplay that now because this is normal. I'm gonna act like I've been here before. So, here we go. Blue Jays versus Twins. Huge game. A big win, but we'll get into that because I thought we were going to lose pretty much the whole time. And yes, PTI, big inspiration. I mean, my favorite sports show of all time. How could I not? Also, the one of the two guys and the dad. I can't remember what it's named. That's the other big inspiration. It's literally the exact same format for both shows. It's just how it looks. So shout out to those shows. I'll be very honest and open about my inspirations because why not? Pay tribute to the people that you like. It's the reason why they do it, to give inspiration to others, and then so on and so forth. So I immediately thought the Blue Jays were going to lose again because it just felt like that the entire game. Which I'm sorry for Eric Lauer's performance. I feel like I jinxed that completely because I said he was great, and that wasn't very great. I wouldn't even say good or mid. It was bad. We'll get into it. So we go down 1-0 in the first inning on the first batter of the game, Byron Buxton, a solo home run. But we would tie the game up in the bottom of the second, so, not all hope was lost. And then that's just when the game would get ridiculous. 2 runs each in the third inning would make the game 3-3. And then they'd score 3 runs in the top of the fourth. Luckily, we'd score 2, stay in the game just a little bit. But sadly, that wouldn't be enough because they would go on to score 2 the very next inning, and we would score 0. So that would promptly end Eric Lauer's night. His final stat line would end with 4 2/3 innings pitched, with an ugly 10 hits, 8 runs, 6 of which are earned, 4 strikeouts, and 4 home runs given up. We'd respond by scoring 0 runs, entering the back half of the game down 8-5. This was, the first half of this game, while it was exciting, was kind of left me feeling dreadful. It left me feeling bad. I just had a bad taste in my mouth from this. Just 3 runs down and less than half the game to go with our bullpen to rely on to keep us in it. No thank you. Personally, no thank you. Of course, the bullpen did already give up 2 runs. Shout out to Dave Collings in the chat there. I appreciate it. Looking good, sounding good. That's the point. Because, look good, feel good. I would recap all the home runs now, but we might as well just wait till the end of the game because that's when it gets more exciting. Which we will talk about soon. If you are here interested in hearing about all of the Blue Jay home runs and the Twins home runs, both of which were plentiful, then make sure you stick around. You can see it's going to be coming up in 2 segments. The bottom of the 6th would come with a glimmer of hope. Jimenez would ground an RBI double. That would be it. But, something. Making it 8-6 at the bottom of the 6th. And no score would follow that until the bottom of the 8th. Down to our final 6 outs at this point. It's bottom of the 8th, top 9th, bottom 9th if required. So we'll see what the Blue Jays can do when down to their last at-bats. This is when it matters most. This is the clutch situations that you don't get the top half of the lineup for. You get the, not random guys. No one on this team has really been random when they're taking at-bats. Everyone's been pretty reliable, but still, you're getting the back half of the order guys. And it's funny, as we go through it, you'll notice who's coming up clutch and then who doesn't come up clutch. But we will talk about that. As, yes, the last at-bats, we start off with Miles Straw. He would get his first at-bat of the game as he came in as a defensive replacement. He would fly out to left, which would bring up Ty France, who would, go yard. 420 feet, no doubter to a deep left, and that's his first home run as a Blue Jay, and would put us within 1 run. And when the bats are alive, this team feels utterly unstoppable. It feels like nothing can get in the way, not even their own bullpen. They could shoot themselves in the foot but still hit a home run and, like Kirk Gibson, limp around the bases. It feels like this team is unstoppable, especially when Kirk hits a single into left, Springer walks to put 2 runners on base, and then Barger drives home what would be a very important hit, a two-run RBI double into the right field gap. That would put us up in the game at 9-8, as both Springer and Kirk scored easily on this. Now, the inning would end, and I would be absolutely terrified because we're trusting Hoffman. We're still trusting this guy. I don't get it. It confuses me. But we'll get into it because the inning ends with Vladdy striking out and Bo Bichette grounding out. Our 2 best hitters not coming up clutch, unlike the last guys. But regardless, we got to trust Hoffman. It's what the management has decided. It's what the coaching has decided. And it's what the season has pretty much decided for us fans. Sure, 5th, maybe 4th. I didn't check. In the league in saves, but also 2nd in blown saves. It's a roller coaster. I'm expecting the worst now just because of the cold streak he's been on. But hey, we know he can deliver good stuff. But I'm scared. Especially when we had just seen Sir Anthony Dominguez. He threw good, then got himself into a bad situation with 2 walks and a wild pitch, but got himself out of the situation without giving up any runs. And that's the big thing. It's run prevention. That's why I like Sir Anthony Dominguez over a guy like Jeff Hoffman. And when Jeff Hoffman gets hit, he gets it hard, and it's typically bad. It was home runs the last game against the Twins, or 2 games ago, I should say. Last game against the Twins, he gave up a double. But we'll get into that, as this is his chance for redemption in my eyes. So, first batter he faces, first pitch, completely uncompetitive ball up in the zone, which was disgusting. And we see Dave Collings in the chat was ready to legitimately puke when Hoffman came in, and that's just the anxiety this guy gives us Jays fans. It is felt. It is unreal. And, so first guy comes in, uncompetitive first pitch, but eventually gets him to line out on 6 pitches, which, not bad. Gets it to happen. The next batter, Wallner, the guy that homered off him in the last game. Hoffman makes him look silly. 3 pitches, 3 strikes, bad swings. Just really good stuff. This was shocking. I looked over to my dad and I said, this looks really good. Maybe Hoffman's redeemed himself. And then first pitch to the next batter hit hard into left field for a double. Immediately made me eat my words, and there was the double I was talking about. Um, yeah, that got me nervous, but he got a ground out on the next guy. I think it was a ground out to third. Can't remember, but it was a ground out to first. That Hoffman would then come and cover first, and get the out himself. So hey, gets the save, closes out the game for us. Only scary for one batter, for one pitch, really. The rest of the game, hey, he held strong. So hey, it's the Hoffman Classic, according to Austin Collings, and hopefully the Classic is more so him getting the save instead of blowing it. So the Blue Jays win. I'm pretty sure the final score was 9-8, and it was. The hits in this one, both teams finished with, I'm pretty sure, yes, and I'm correct, 12 hits apiece. And now we get into the fun part, the home runs. This was insanity. This was ridiculousness to the highest degree. I'm not sure about MLB records or anything like that, but you'll understand why I'm worried about MLB records as we get into it. So, first at bat of the game, sixth pitch of the game, Byron Buxton goes yard, a solo home run. Keep that in mind. Bottom of the second, Davis Schneider would do the same. Solo home run, 1-1, both in the game and in the home run count. Byron Buxton would then lead off the third inning with another solo home run. 2 for 2 for Byron Buxton. The later in that same inning, Luke Keeschall would hit a solo home run as well. The home run score and the score in the game is 3-1. That was until Davis Schneider would hit his second home run, also a solo home run. This would make the home run count 3-2 for the Twins. At this point, the score in the game was 6-4, so we're going to just forget that now. 3-2 Twins are winning in the home run race. And shout out Austin. One day he's actual Satan, the next day he's Mariano Rivera. That's pretty extreme, but that's how the general Blue Jay fan feels at this point, it feels like. Shout out Jeff Hoffman. Anyways, back to the home runs. Jimenez would tie up the home run game 3-3 with his solo home run. That is now 6 solo home runs in this game. Every single home run so far. Also, that was in the 4th inning. Just to put in perspective. The top of the 5th, very next inning, the Twins would go back into the home run lead, 4-3, as Brooks Lee would shoot yet another solo home run. Then we fast forward a little bit to, I'm pretty sure, the 8th inning, or it was a bit sooner than that. Either way, fast forward to then our last home run of the game. It's 4-3 to the Twins. Ty France comes up. First home run for the Toronto Blue Jays. Ties it up 4-4, and that's where it would stay for the end of the game. 8 solo home runs. I don't know if that's a record. 8 solo home runs and no other home runs. That's an important note. Every home run was a solo home run, and there was 8 home runs in the one game. That's got to be some type of record. I don't know how to find that stat myself. I don't pay for a StatHead subscription on Pro Baseball Reference. I can't really figure that out myself, but I'm sure there's a way to figure out what the most home runs in a game are that were all solo home runs. That's not a hard criteria, because I think this is up there. 8 in one game. And we won still. Yeah. We are winning all of these strange baseball games. Which does bode well for the playoffs, you would think, but I don't know. The way the bullpen is, other than my guy Sir Anthony Dominguez, I just don't see this Blue Jays team as a true World Series team. I'm sorry, Blue Jay fans, but I just don't, honestly. The way they blow games against easy opponents. I mean, we did just come off a big win, but it was 9-8 against the Twins. We're letting the Twins score 8 runs against us. I mean, I know Eric Lauer is responsible for a lot of that, and That was his first game, not start, game entirely, because he never once came out of the bullpen as a long relief guy, which is stupid if you ask me, but it's his first game since the 17th. That was 10 days off, and so he's a little rusty, and still, though, that's what worries me. Of course, in the playoffs, they hopefully sharpen up, and we don't have Eric Lauer, 8 runs given up games. And to your point, Austin, yes, we do only really do this against bad teams. We have good games against good teams a lot of the time, but again, it just worries me, you know? I can't not be worried about this team, especially when it comes to the playoffs. And I think the reason that they do sharpen up against the competitive teams and play better is because they do sharpen up. They treat it more seriously. As horrible as that is for professionals, but it just seems like they got the Jamal Murray disease, which is when the lights are brightest, that's when they shine. And when they got the dim lights, they feel like they shrink when the lights aren't bright, which kind of was the whole story of last season. Was they kept playing bad and worse and worse and worse, and it kept just kind of like affecting the chemistry and affecting the momentum. They're a big momentum team, and so beating good teams just once makes their momentum go from like a 5 to a 10, versus when we beat the Twins in the first game in this series, the momentum went from a 1 to a 2. I felt like the boys watching it just feels like the care level, like obviously there's emotions into every game, sure, but again, they just don't treat it as competitively. And to your point, there are no bad teams in the playoffs. But if we are going to be like this now, it worries me for the future. That's my only point. That's my only point. Because what if we do start slipping up against these bad teams? What if we start having uncompetitive at-bats and games where we give up 8 runs? I don't think good teams in the playoffs aren't going to give up 6 runs. And I really think, to your point as well, Dave there, shout out my dad and brother, to your point, September's going to be the biggest test. If we don't play good in September, then I'm going to be insanely scared for the playoffs. But if we do, if we play good in September, then hey, I'll join the bandwagon. I'll join the hope train. But I like the optimism for the team moving forward. Let's just monitor where they finish in the American League East, and that will be what determines my worriedness level. If we're first, I'll relax a little. I'll pump the brakes on my Blue Jays pessimism. But we'll see. We got a lot of time. This Brewers series coming up is going to be huge. It's going to be giant. I got 2 more minutes to talk about the Blue Jays here before we hop into our AEW Dynamite recap and review. We would be doing the Brewers recap, or not recap, preview, that's the word. But it's travel day today. We don't really have a starting pitcher to go over for tonight. We don't have the lineup for tonight. Of course, we do have the starting pitcher for tomorrow. I'll keep that a surprise for tomorrow. I'm sure I might have talked about it yesterday, but we got the big boys coming up because we're facing the biggest boys in the league. The Brewers, the only team, I'm pretty sure, with over 80 wins still at this point. For these final 2 minutes, we will take a look at the standings as the Yankees and Red Sox refuse to lose lately on a 3 and 4 game winning streak, respectively. That's the Red Sox with a 3-gamer, Yankees with a 4-gamer. If we had lost that game last night, they would have been 3 and 3.5 games back. Luckily, we kept them at 4, but 4 games, it worries me personally. But that's all. That's all. I think other than that, just those 4 games, if we could stay afloat, I'm not worried. I swear, I'm not worried. I swear. And then, yes, after doing research, aka looking at my phone, the Brewers are the only team in the MLB with over 80 wins. So it's gonna be one of the biggest testers that you can get, the best regular season team. Now, our Blue Jays are still first. Oh, the Yankees suck. We know that. That's why they're behind the Red Sox. And the Red Sox suck too. We could pump that train. We could go on that. we could go down that road all day. So we don't need to concern ourselves with that now. We just need to concern ourselves with ourselves and playing good. We do have a series against the Yankees. We do have a series against the Red Sox. I mean, we got to win. We got to win. Any sweeps would be amazing, but I doubt it. As we are 20 minutes into our sports hour, we're going to get into our AEW Dynamite recap and review. Now, I do want to say shout out to AEW for multiple reasons. I mean, not only for being the best wrestling company and my favorite wrestling, but also for doing recaps on your official website that are publicly available for anyone who misses the show or does a show the next day and doesn't want to take notes the entire time. It's big. It's really cool. I'm sure WWE does it, but if they don't, +1 AEW. So shout out to them. Now, getting into it because this was a banger of a show. So good. I mean, I've talked about them being on a hot streak, and another Wednesday come and goes, and I'm still going to talk about them being on a hot streak because, again, special streak they're on. The programming is unreal. So let's jump right into it. Copeland and Cage challenging FTR at All Out. And looking at here, big chat, Dave Collings. Shout out my dad. We watched it together last night. He says, my opinion, best Dynamite after a pay-per-view in a very long time. Show was amazing. And I completely agree. The show felt like a pay-per-view at times. Just how packed it was. And how good the matches were. And how wild one of the matches got. And it will be my match that I say, go watch this match. If drop everything you're doing to find this match online and watch it. We'll get into that later. Until then, we'll jump into the show. We started off with our very own Toronto, Orangeville, technically, Toronto boys, Cope and Cage challenging FTR at All Out. As this started with FTR in the ring, cutting a little heel promo, blaming Paul Turner, for their loss at Forbidden Door, and then they threaten him. And then that warrants Cope and Cage coming out. And I'm like, yeah, so yay, they defend the honor of Paul Turner and then challenge them, of course, to get his redemption. But again, I still stand by the fact this should be for the titles. And it's a mistake. It's not. It's a mistake that this wasn't FTR who cheated at Forbidden Door and is now cutting a heel promo. They were already getting booed out of the building. Philly hated them. There was one fan that got right in FTR Glock, a.k.a. Cash, FTR Glock's face. That's why he's being called on Twitter, by the way. So I'm not the inventor of that. Got right in Cash's face and just going at it. And wearing a FedEx, like a guy that just clocked out from his shift at FedEx. Just hilarious stuff. I mean, the crowd hated them. Chanted, "You got no hose" at Stokely Hathaway, which was hilarious. Just great stuff. Phenomenal stuff. But it should have been a heel promo of them holding the tag titles and bragging about how they cheated to win. Or something like that. Or talking about how they won it perfectly clean and we did nothing wrong. And then the fans boo them even more. They're not... I disagree. It's not it's about FTR being the best. It's more than them being props. It's something that elevates the emotional stakes of the storyline. At the end of the day, it's a TV show, and the belts are the number one plot points in the entire show. And so I feel like the most important stories in your show should be with the belts. And the most important story in the tag division is Cope and Christian versus FTR, which should be done for the belts because it's most important. It makes the tag titles feel less important. And I'll beat that drum till the end of time. But I do see what you mean. It shouldn't be thrown in for the sake of the story. But I feel like the story would be then elevated with them. The story will be fine. It's not the same, though. but still, so they come out, they make the save. It was funny. It was only Copeland came out to start and was kept looking for Christian, who then snuck in and then nailed Stokely Hathaway with the kill switch, which was very funny. And then a counterpoint as well from Dave Collings. It's all about the pop and views in this day and age. CNC winning in Toronto would accomplish both, and that is absolutely true. Which the pop will be there no matter what, and that's me playing devil's advocate. Whether or not it's for the titles, we will pop huge. But the views, if it was for the belts, I think would be more. That's personally what I think, because the views will also be big no matter what. Just they could be bigger, always, and that's me being greedy. This was a very fun segment, and it does set up for our All Out September 20th show in Toronto, where of course CNC is going to win. It's in Toronto, so it's more a matter of fact of like, how is it going to happen? We'll move on from this into something that we can more so agree on as a community, and I feel like most people on Twitter as well were agreeing with what we were feeling. Of course, us and my Curtis Collings, Collings Thode community here, which is the Jon Moxley versus Danny Garcia match, which we don't know actually how it's going to go, but of course we are all team Danny Death Rider. Shout out Austin Collings for coining that term yesterday. I thought Danny Death Rider was damn hilarious. I loved it. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. But if not, still it's a fun storyline. And I also saw a Twitter video that I sent to my dad that we will also talk about. But first, we'll get into the match, as this was a very fun, very competitive match between these two guys. Danny was working the knee a lot so he could put on submission holds, and Jon was just kind of killing him. And great wrestling match. One I would recommend watching. It's not one of those ones I would say like go out of your way to watch this, but it was fantastic. I will do that actually for you, Austin, because we will do. I don't have an AEW Twitter time set up, so we'll just do it on the Panthers one. But this was the end of the match, and this is what the whole thing of what I wanted to talk about. I got to figure out how to get this how I want it is the only thing. Because yes, the end of the match was Danny Garcia putting a hold on Jon Moxley, and for some reason his head magnetizes to the floor just to a ridiculous degree. So we'll be on Blue Jays Twitter time. Here's a little behind the scenes for you guys as we try to pull this up. Shout out to my DMs here. Figuring out how to get this. It's important that you see this because it was so funny. Definitely gonna be something that appears on Botchamania, unfortunately. But so be it. Sometimes you just gotta live with that. I do need to adjust the crop real quick. But again, it was a fantastic match. I'll continue talking about it while I figure this out. Here we go. So here was the end of the match. He puts him in this hold and just sinks to the ground. And of course, I added the text, me when the magnet in my head turns on and the canvas has steel beams. Because this was, again, I don't know what went through his head to make him do this. It was just, it didn't work. I'm sorry, Danny. And he cuts a brilliant promo after, but this is he cuts a brilliant promo afterwards. And says, I beat myself, I messed up, which is true. We just watched the clip. He did beat himself. Hopefully AEW doesn't copyright strike this this live stream down now. Please, Tony. But so afterwards, after the match, he goes to the outside. He's being consulted by Daddy Magic, and Jon comes up to him and gets in his face and tries to talk to him, and he's starting the recruitment process, which should have happened 2 to 3 years ago with the BCC, but alas, we're here now. So he gets in his ear, but Danny is completely not having it. He does not want anything to do with the Death Riders for now. Well, hope he changes his mind. And then I saw this on Twitter, the promo he cuts, and then he talks about how he had him. He had a great match. He finally got his hands on the Death Riders. He talks about how he was one of the guys that was in the parking lot last year with the Dark Order and Karen Jarrett. He name drops Karen Jarrett. He was one of the guys in the parking lot that was ready, that wanted to get their hands on the Death Riders. He says, this is now my chance. I got my one-on-one, and I blew it. I lost the match. Jon Moxley didn't make me tap. He didn't beat me with one of his moves. I lost. And it's a really captivating promo. It's really good stuff from Danny, and I really like the direction he's going. And that's the big thing, is if you haven't been an AEW fan for forever like we have, if you haven't been an AEW fan, if you've only been a new fan since the hot streak, then you would have missed out on way back at Wrestle Dream last year when they put the bag over Bryan Danielson's head. The lore behind that, we could talk for hours. But the show ended with Hook, Danny Garcia, Orange Cassidy, and who was the last guy? Who was the last guy? Oh, Darby Allin. Silly me. Why would I ever forget that? Stay hydrated. So it's Darby, Hook, Garcia, and Orange Cassidy. Who Orange Cassidy is gonna come back during one of these Philadelphia tapings. I am 100% confident it's either gonna be, it's not gonna be Collision, so maybe next Wednesday, maybe the Wednesday after that. But he is coming back. I think OC way more likely to come back than Eddie Kingston at this point. But regardless, it's going to be those four guys plus an Eddie Kingston, blood and guts, because we just saw the return of Hook. To get into that, we've been teasing the return of Hook for a very long time. Also, I'm only 2 segments in, and I've been talking about it for 10 minutes. This is how good this AEW show was. Anyway, so Yuta cuts a promo after the Jon Moxley match, cuts a commercial, come back from commercial. Yuta is still cutting the cutting the promo, which is ridiculous. Talking, blah blah blah. Hook comes out with his new theme song. So tell the girls I am back in town, which is really cool. I really like it personally. I see some people don't like it. Screw them. I love it. I think it's so cool. I think it matches him. I will, in fact, miss the Action Bronson song just because I like him as a rapper. But this is cool regardless. I'm more of a rap guy, but I mean, this works for me. He comes out. He's huge now. Like, he's really buffed up. And really cool to see him back. Beats down Yuta, hits him with gets the red rum on him, and then hits him with a big Superman punch. Really cool. Hook is back, and we're setting up for potential blood and guts with Death Riders and, well, this new group. We then cut to a promo with MJF. He promises to haunt Hangman and Briscoe and says, I deserve better, in the way only MJF can. So he's really starting to, come unglued, really starting to lose it a bit more angry, more manic. And that's kind of what we hoped from MJF, really, this whole time. He said, when I'm bleeding, the crowd chants, you deserve it. When Hangman's bleeding, the crowd chants cowboy shit. He hates it. It seems he wants to be loved, but he also wants to be this asshole, really. And it's fascinating right now, and I'm really excited to see the progression of our MJF run here. So who knows? We'll be keeping an eye on it, of course. And then yes, threatens Mark Briscoe, says if he ever sees him, he'll actually light him on fire, and then he concluded it by saying, when I signed the dotted line on this Casino Gauntlet contract, it won't be for a match. It'll be for your soul. Like he's The Rock. He's going for souls now. Which is funny to me. We then go to our next match of the night, which was our women's tag team match, which makes me, again, say, where are our women's tag titles? I want them now because I want Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford to be tag champions. They are awesome. I love them. What an amazing group. What an amazing dynamic. They are so awesome in the ring. I even really like Penelope Ford, who's like a very underrated performer. Insanely. This was a very good match. Of course, it's Harley Cameron and Chris Statlander. They're also very fun. Harley Cameron, hugely improved as well. Well, not as well. Penelope Ford was always great. But Harley Cameron has improved like you wouldn't believe. She can go in the ring. She has actual moves and tells stories and was bleeding out the nose through her mask, and she was relying on the headbutt a lot, and she gets it. And Chris Statlander's amazing too. Statlander and Cameron would get the win in this one, so no surprises there. I do think the losers of the match, in my eyes, looked better, but that's honestly because that's who I was watching most of the time, because I just find Megan Bayne to be fascinating, and the fact that she is not a champion yet is a travesty. She is the best. She is easily one of the best women's talent in the entire world. And I love that prediction from Dave Collings there. Women's Tag Title Tourney UK in December, because they have the big 2 shows. I'm pretty sure it's 2 shows out there in December that they announced. So I like that, but I don't want to wait till December. I like it, but it's a long time to wait. I want the ladies, I want the women to be promoted now as much as they deserve to be promoted, which is a lot. They are awesome. So that's all about me gushing about the women's wrestling. Now we'll gush about women's promos, because the actual arguable best women's wrestler on the planet, Mercedes Moné, gets her global, celebrates her global domination and warns every champion in women's wrestling that she's coming, because she's officially 9 belts Moné, which is unreal. There was a table laid out with all with 8 of them, and then she wore her TBS title. It is hilarious at this point. She's coming for Ultimo Dragon's record, and she said it on TV, which is funny because I said it to my dad when she first came out with all the belts, and I'm like, oh my god, she's trying to be Ultimo Dragon. And then she said it, and I felt, I was like, I know my stuff. Sometimes. She cuts a good promo. Makes fun of Renee a couple times, and then dances and whatnot. How did this one end? I think that was it. I think it was just with her dancing. Then we cut to Mark Briscoe, who challenged Kyle Fletcher and, of course, fired back at MJF. So, of course, the Mark Briscoe MJF story is something that MJF has wanted, and it has been super fun, and they're prolonging it a lot longer than I thought they would, which is very good. This is awesome. And I love Mark Briscoe being a main event player like this. Of course, being with MJF in my mind makes you a main eventer, even if MJF isn't in the main event. Regardless, he says that he does want gold. And then we set up Alex Windsor for the TBS title again. A little one-on-one match for Mercedes Moné. Anyways, thank you. But back to Mark Briscoe, who I cannot gush enough about how much I love, and how exciting it is. He says that he does want to compete for a title, but he's not going to go after Hangman. So Kyle Fletcher, they had a fantastic series of matches that ended tied 2 apiece. So he wants that TNT title. I don't think he's going to win it, sadly, because this Fletcher reign is, I think, going to go a little longer. And Fletcher definitely, I think, deserves, in my mind, as a Fletchlight, as a Fletch head, to go, up in the series 3-2. But I'm sure a lot of Mark Briscoe fans, the Chicken Warriors, they would argue, the other way. Oh, and the other thing, this was a pre-recorded promo. He couldn't be there in person because he just had a kid, Mac Briscoe, which is, it's pretty sweet. It's pretty cool. So, good to see him anyways. And then, yeah, introducing his ninth child. So, yeah, Mac Briscoe. And soon enough, there's going to be a Briscoe bloodline uh, because of how many damn kids he has. Um, we then get into our all-star 8-man tag match, which was the Don Callis family, Konosuke Takeshita, Kazuchika Okada, Hechicero, or as Don Callis said, Hechicero! I could keep going, because he went forever. I think he turned beet red. Um, they won, the heel team. Defeated Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey, of course, Jet Speed, and the AEW Tag Team Champions, Brodito, that is, of course, Brody King, and Bandito. This was also a really fun match. Screw it. I'll put this in my match of go seek this out. This was a really good match. I remember my dad saying midway through that, like, this has been a special match. So, yeah, go seek this one out. Just 8, of the best workers in the company working their best. That's as simple as it gets. I don't really want to spoil too much other than the ending, because it was sick. Really good stuff. Terrific match. And then it ended with a little... I can't remember how we got to this now because it was such a cluster of stuff happening. But it ended up with Kenny Omega came out. He saved... Oh, that's what happened. Hangman Page came out. And Hangman Page was cutting a little promo. Jesus. I cannot believe I almost forgot that. So Hangman Page was out there. The Don Callis family comes out there. And my dad and I were looking at each other like, yeah, we're setting up Wardlow versus Hangman Page. That's cool. And then Wardlow never came out. But the rest of the Don Callis family came out and we're going to jump Hangman Page. And did. So Hangman Page says, I'm no dumbass. I know how this is going to go. And then dives on the outside and immediately jumps Josh Alexander. And so jumping then ensues. They start beating up Hangman. Kenny Omega comes out for the save. Which was super cool to see him and Hanger together again. Jet Speed also then came out to help. And it was basically just the 8-man all-star tag, but all over again. This was so cool to see Hangman and Kenny together. Shout out to before 2020 and pre-COVID AEW and the storyline that these guys had. They did their buckshot plus V-trigger finishing move for the first time since I think 2020. So the unreal story that these guys have, and they've put their past behind them. It looks like they'll be able to, be together again, and just super cool to see them together. This would then lead into our AEW World Trios Championship match. The Ops, that's Samoa Joe, Katsuyori Shibata, and Powerhouse Hobbs facing off against Ricochet. I say it like he's an Irish guy named Rick O'Shea. Ricochet facing and the GOA. That's, of course, Bishop Kong and Toa Leona. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. The second last match of the night, if it was the main event, I would have been very, very seriously bought into the fact that GOA and Ricochet could win here, but it wasn't the last match, so I thought to myself, maybe not. This was a really fun match. The chop sequence that I'm pretty sure it was, I can look here. It was Khan. It was Bishop Khan and Shibata that chopped each other for like 2 minutes straight, and they were both purple by the end of it. It was unreal to watch. It was so much fun. And this was a great match. Hobbs and Toa getting in the ring together, the two big men with the meat chants, was super fun. Samoa Joe barely even got in this thing, but would get in to beat up Ricochet for a bit. This was super fun. Super fun match. This would then end with, by the end of the match, MVP would come out when Ricochet was on the top rope and hit him with his cane to knock him off. This would then lead to GOA losing, and Hurt Syndicate then coming out after to promptly start a feud, a little beatdown, and brawling to the back. And it looks like we're setting up Hurt Syndicate versus Ricochet and GOA, which makes sense because of course, at Forbidden Door, GOA and Ricochet costing them the match. And this is a really good long-term storyline with Ricochet not, getting accepted into the Hurt Syndicate, and that's why he is now with GOA. And so this is long-term storytelling at its finest. And again, I'm loving everything with Ricochet. What an MVP of AEW lately. He's one of my, honestly, top 5 guys in my mind. But there's so many guys that could be top 5. But just the run that he's had and the type of performances that he does, the character work, this is what a blessing to AEW he's been, really. Then we go into our main event. Please watch this match. Go anywhere you can. If it's on YouTube, you find it on YouTube. If it's on Dailymotion, you watch it on Dailymotion. If TSN has uploaded AEW from last night, you go on TSN and you scroll to the main event and you watch this match, because this was unreal. It felt like a video game was unfolding in real life as Darby Allin and Claudio Castagnoli would face off in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Now, of course, Claudio Castagnoli loves to start his and yes, oh boy, the main event. As Claudio Castagnoli loves to start his matches and entrances from the outside or in random locations. And so this one was the outside. He's walking, strolling to the building, and Darby appears and jumps off a shipping container onto him, and they brawl on the outside for a bit, which then involves Claudio throwing Darby into a bunch of chairs that were set up. And then, I'm sorry, I don't want to spoil too much, so I'll just talk about the beginning and let you watch this match on your own, because I'm spoiling too much as it is. But he slams him through a TV like the TV was a table. The TV was in half. It was unreal stuff. They continued to brawl into the ring with tables, and there were support beams, and I will let you enjoy it for yourself. Please go check this out. I won't make you stop listening to me yet, because we only do have 13 minutes left in the sports hour. So as soon as we're done here, you go watch this match, please, because this was unreal. One of my favorite matches I've ever seen. I grew up on wrestling DVDs. Thank you very much, Dave Collings, Dad, for putting me on to wrestling as a kid, and good wrestling. I had the Hardy Boys DVD, which had so many Jeff Hardy crazy matches. I had the Triple H DVD because, wrestling history, and the Stone Cold one that we all shared. And this felt like a match that will be on Darby Allin's DVD one day. No way it's not, because this was so special. It felt like something I would have watched on that Jeff Hardy DVD when I was a kid, and that's the biggest thing too. It legitimately, I felt like a kid watching wrestling again. And of course, the hardcore wrestling, it lent itself great to the ECW arena, which I like your final opinion on it. You came around, I see, Dad, that you say the old ECW arena was amazing, and it was. The fans were amazing, and it lent itself really well to wrestling. It's a smaller crowd, but a loud crowd. So that will end our episode of AEW. I'm not going to reveal who won in the main event. Go watch it yourself and find out once you're done here with the Sports Hour. Again, how you find this match. If it's on YouTube, I doubt it is. You go to YouTube and find it. If not, Google Darby Allin versus Claudio Castagnoli, Falls Count Anywhere, Dailymotion, and it should be there. If not, Google AEW August 27th, Dailymotion. It should be there. Then scroll to the main event. If that doesn't exist and you have TSN or a cable provider that has TSN, you go on tsn.ca or .com or whatever it is, and then you go on Games on Demand, you find AEW if it's been uploaded, and you scroll to this main event, because again, I'll preach it from Mount Everest like I'm Darby Allin. Watch this match. This was special. So to end my review and recap of AEW Dynamite, this was an A+ show. This was a show I would actually recommend. Watch the entire thing, front to back. There was not a moment where I thought this is dragging or I want to be home and in bed. I thought, man, I wish that was longer. Personally, I would honestly, if it was 3 hours like Raw and SmackDown now, I would have been okay with it. That's a crazy statement because I don't really think that for many things. I don't agree with 3 hour wrestling shows, but I wish it was longer because that was how special the show was. A+ programming, go check it out. That's the end of my review. We have 10 minutes left in our sports hour, and we got a few more topics here that are just being revealed. As you can see, we got a little bit of Panthers talk and football talk. So we might as well get into it. No real time to dilly-dally. So Panthers talk. We're getting really close. It's not this Sunday, but next Sunday is our first game against the Jaguars out of Duval. That's Jacksonville for the uneducated. But first, we will talk about the Adam Thielen trade. As we talked about it yesterday, but I didn't talk about the entire trade. So let me do that. Because yesterday, I said I was happy with the trade when I only knew it was a 2026 fifth. Well, it's also a 2027 fourth. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We got a fourth and a fifth out of a 35-year-old wide receiver on the last year of his contract who was going to retire at the end of the year? No way. No way. We just drafted Lathan Ransom, who I think is going to be a stud, a bona fide stud in the 4th round last year. I think we also got Trevor Etienne around that range, whether or not it was the 5th, and he looks like he's a guy that can actually play NFL snaps. We got Jimmy Horn in the 6th. So who's to say that this 4th and that 5th can't turn into young guys that can produce for us? Or who's to say we don't trade that pick into more talent, into defensive pieces, into Micah Parsons? Now, that's a little too much, but, maybe it's part of it. Who knows? But I'm so juiced. What a trade. Anyone who doesn't like this trade doesn't understand how good Coker is and how easily he's going to replace what Adam Thielen did. Maybe not. No, I think he could get 600 yards. I think there's a genuine chance that Coker gets more usage than Xavier Legette this year. I think he'll get open more often in the slot than Legette will on his own out wide, personally. So if you're a fantasy football guy, I would personally draft Coker over Legette. I myself have drafted and picked up Coker over Legette in multiple different leagues because I believe in his ability to produce in the slot, and I really like the Panthers offense when it operates out of the slot. I mean, that is where Adam Thielen was all last year, and who led the team in receiving yards? Adam Thielen. Of course, we have Tedero McMillan out wide, who is going to hopefully cruise into at least 900, 1,000 yards. And maybe that opens up the field for Legette to get 600, 700 yards. But I genuinely see a world where if Tedero McMillan gets 1,000, Coker gets 800. And if that will be like the jump of the century, because he finished with, I think, around 450 to 475 yards last year. I think he could legit do it. Of course, Xavier Legette had finished with like 497 yards, so it'll be no surprise if he also jumps up an extra 300 to maybe even 400. Maybe he does get up to 900 yards, but regardless, nothing but optimism for that passing offense. Which, speaking of the passing offense, -1 Adam Thielen, we're also -1 Renfrow, because what's up with Renfrow? The practice squad signings came out and he was not on them. He's currently unrostered completely. Like, no practice squad, nothing. He's, as far as I'm aware, floating in the wind, just there. Which is confusing to me that we wouldn't even get him for our practice squad. We did sign a wide receiver for our practice squad. I can't remember. It wasn't Renfrow. I don't know. It's confusing to me. I thought it was going to be, he was going to be on the practice squad and signed there and, called up in case of injury or an Adam Thielen trade, but no. it looks like we're going to roll with 6 wide receivers on the 53-man roster, and Hunter Renfrow isn't going to be on the team at all, which is weird, if you ask me. But maybe he wasn't all that. Maybe he wasn't cracked out to be. But we'll keep our eye on him, of course, in the future. I'll report on it if anything does happen, and I'll, of course, give my take on it. Closing out with welcoming some of the new signings, though, because we did sign a couple guys for the practice squad and a special teamer to come in, because we did open up a roster spot with no Thielen. So first and foremost, we signed Hendon Hooker, a former third-round pick out of Tennessee. He was drafted by the Lions, and it just never really worked out, I guess. I mean, he was 25 years old when he got drafted, and they had Jared Goff already, but, he'll be a perfectly fine backup quarterback when Andy Dalton retires. So I like it. Good pickup. And then the other guy I want to mention before we close out is DJ Dallas, who is a special teamer, a guy that returns kicks, but I think can also be a gunner when we are punting the ball. So it's a big addition just for the special teams, if you so care about that. The last thing I'm going to talk about will be my predictions for the wide receivers. I mean, we got into it a bit there. I mean, I couldn't help myself. I had to talk about it. But we'll talk about it more so at large because we have our game against the Jaguars. That's coming up, and I really like our chances to actually produce offense. Of course, it's going to be the first game of the season, and this Panthers team has a bad habit of underperforming to start the season. But this is a fresher team, a newer team, a different look, I would say. So looking at Tetairoa McMillan, if you use Sleeper Fantasy, the projections for him are 4.5 receptions, 61.5 yards, and 0.5 touchdowns. You could bet on the over or under for those, but those are kind of the baselines. So I'm hitting the over for receptions. I think he catches more than 5 balls. I think he catches 5 or more passes in his first ever game. 61.5 yards, 61.5 yards, I actually think is a pretty good line. There's a good chance that he isn't the yardage guy, but is the reception guy in short games. But no way. I mean, his one catch in the preseason from Bryce Young against the Browns was a 30-yard catch. Do that twice, and there's 60 yards. So I'm actually going to hit the over. And does he score a touchdown? That's the real question. So I'll leave that up to you guys. Does Tetairoa McMillan score a touchdown? I say yeah. Why not? Let's do it. Let's hammer home that Tetairoa McMillan touchdown. I think there's a very good chance he does it. We'll look at what Sleeper says for Bryce Young's line, for what they predict for his pass attempts, for his completions, yardage, touchdowns, and interceptions. And then, of course, he also has the rushing, which was a kind of a sleeper last year for him. So they think that he's in the range of 31.5 passing attempts and 19.5 completions. I hope that he gets over 20 completions, but we've seen before he doesn't always do that. A lot of quarterbacks actually don't do that, which is surprising. The yardage prediction is 216.5. That's their line, which I personally, that gets me super excited. 1.5 touchdowns is their line with 0.5 interceptions. That is that not a legit quarterback line that is going to, like, if he does that game in, game out, if he does around 31 attempts, around 20 completions for around 215 yards, a touchdown and a half a game, maybe 2, maybe 1 some games, and 0 to 1 interception. Again, my prediction, we talked about it before on the Sports Hour, I think he can do 3,500 yards, 3,500 with 28 to 31 passing touchdowns with only 8 to 11 interceptions. That's my range for this guy, and that's what those lines are. It seems like Sleeper and I are on the same page. I had my line before these were ready, so I'll take my credit. Panther fans and non-Panther fans, be excited for the season. I'm optimistic, at least for the offense. We'll wait till week 1 to see how the defense does. And, of course, we'll have to wait till the Monday after to talk about it. As, of course, the Sports Hour, presented by Curtis Collings, we're wrapping up for today. Of course, Thursday, August 28th. We're going to be doing this every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 12:15 to 1:15. So make sure you don't miss it. Make sure you come around tomorrow as we'll have another fun, exciting show. Tomorrow, talking about the preview for the Blue Jays versus the Brewers and some other random stuff. So thank you very much for tuning in as the clock winds down to 1:15, and we had a great time here. Big changes. Hopefully you enjoyed them. I know I had a ton of fun with them. So see you later.